$7,566. That's every repair on one Tesla across 238,000 miles as a working taxi. Another car in this video has needed 4 battery packs and 14 motors. Same badge, same parts bin. 2 completely different bills. And the one that surprised me most finished second because it didn't lose on the battery. Let's get into it. How we actually tested them. I'm not going to pretend 3 cars got torn down on a bench at exactly 200,000 miles. That video doesn't exist. What does exist is better. Taxi fleets with documented invoices, battery health read straight off the battery management system across thousands of cars, recall records, warranty terms in writing, 4 things decided, what's left of the pack, whether the drivetrain is still the original one, what the chassis and the electronics have cost, and the price of the repair you can't avoid. That last one settles this video, and it's why third place doesn't go to the car you'd expect. Third place, the Model S. The best battery numbers in this video belong to the car that finishes last. And if that sounds like it contradicts my opening line, it does. I'll square that up in a minute. Tesla's own reporting puts Model S and Model X at around 12% capacity loss at 200,000 miles. The long-range Model 3 and Model Y sit closer to 15%. But that gap isn't better cells, it's a bigger pack. The same distance puts far fewer full charge cycles through it. So the battery isn't what loses this car the video. It's everything bolted around it. And it matters more now, because Tesla ended Model S production in 2026. Every one of them is a used car from here on. The pack failures in the data sit almost entirely in the early cars. 2012 to 2015, and out of warranty a Model S pack runs $13,000 to $22,000 through Tesla. On a lot of those examples, that's more than the whole car is worth. It's the first thing I check on a high mileage S, and almost nobody else does. The motors are where the early cars earned their reputation. Whining, rotor-bearing wear, and a coolant seal on the large drive unit that specialists found failing around 30 to 40,000 miles, which squares up that opening line. The car on 14 motors and 4 packs is a 2014 Model S past 1.5 million miles. At our mileage, it was on its first or second, like everyone else's. It just ran the experiment 200 times faster and found a real design flaw doing it. Both things hold. Best aging pack here on average, sitting in the most expensive car to be wrong about. Then the chassis. Air suspension is standard, and air suspension is a wear item. Struts fail, the compressor fails, sensors drift, and drop the car into a fault. 4-figure money per corner. Add the mass. North of 4,500 pounds on 19S or 21S, and a set of tires runs well past $1,000. Everything here is one size up from the other two. Then the electronics. The memory chip in the 2012 to 2018 infotainment computer wore out from ordinary use and took the touchscreen, the backup camera, and the defroster with it, far enough that Tesla recalled almost 135,000 cars under pressure from the regulator. None of it will strand you. All of it is money, so it finishes third, and not on engineering. These are cheap to buy now, but depreciation doesn't reduce the repair bill. A $16,000 car with a $16,000 pack behind it isn't a bargain. It's a coin flip. The flagship gets the newest technology first, which means it gets the unfinished technology first too. Not the survivor of the lineup, the prototype. Knowing which one you're looking at before the money leaves your hand is the whole game. And if you're actually shopping for a used EV, everything I check before buying is in the Used EV Buyer's Guide, including battery health, the warranty rules, the full inspection checklist. Links in the description. Because the next car has none of those problems, and it still doesn't win. Second place, the Model Y. Here's what makes this one interesting. It shares its drive unit, its software, its charging hardware, and most of its parts bin with the car that wins this video. Mechanically, it's a Model 3 with a taller body. It loses by about 300 pounds. The pack is the Model 3's pack, so the numbers are the same. Tesla's 15% at 200,000 miles on the long-range cars. Independent data putting state of health in the mid to high 80s, around 150,000. Early drop, then a long flat stretch. Same with the drive unit, which is the strongest component in this video. Motor, inverter, and reduction gear sealed in one housing. Hundreds of millions of fleet miles behind it. Very few catastrophic failures. So the Y doesn't lose on anything it shares with the winner. It loses on the 2 things it doesn't. The first is what happens when something does go wrong. Some Austin-built cars use a structural pack, where the 4,680 cells are glued into the floor and the pack is part of the body itself. Teardown engineers who cut one open called its repairability essentially zero, and they meant it literally. There are no modules inside, just one bonded block. Brilliant for stiffness and manufacturing cost. A lot less brilliant at 200,000 miles when what you want is a shop willing to open it up and swap one section. On those cars, you replace the whole thing. Tesla has since put 4,680 cells into conventional packs too, so this is a question about the specific car, not the badge on it. Same story with the big single-piece castings front and rear. Cheaper and stiffer to build, considerably harder to repair after a collision, and that pushes more damaged cars into being written off rather than fixed. Neither is a reliability problem. Both are longevity problems, and longevity is the only thing we're measuring today. The second is mass, and you settle that bill in rubber. Real-world Model Y tire life runs somewhere between 25,000 and 40,000 miles, depending on wheels and how you drive it. And the performance setups sit at the bottom of that range. Over 200,000 miles, that's 6 or 7 sets. The single biggest running cost on these cars, bigger than servicing, bigger than anything electrical. Suspension follows the Model 3's script, with bushings, links, and rear work that runs into 4 figures once the warranty is gone. It just arrives sooner here, because everything is carrying more. 2 things worth checking on any used one. The 2020 and 2021 Fremont cars had real problems with panel alignment and seals, so look for water ingress around the rear hatch and the roof glass. And check the heat pump recall has been closed out. A software fault could leave a valve stuck open in the cold and kill the cabin heat and the defroster, and Tesla recalled more than 26,000 cars for it. That one hit the Model 3, S, and X too, so it isn't a mark against the Y specifically, none of which is a disaster. Add it up, and the Y is a consistent few percent worse than the winner on every line for the entire life of the car, which is why it finishes second and closer to first than the ranking makes it sound. You don't pay for extra weight once, you pay for it every set of tires. If you're still with me this far in, you clearly know your EVs. A quick like and subscribe genuinely helps the channel out, because the winner doesn't win on being the best car here. It wins on having the least to go wrong. First place, the Model 3. $7,566 across 238,000 miles. One car, fully documented by its owner. A 2021 Model 3 long range, worked as a taxi in the UK through 4 years of the kind of use that destroys cars. Every part, every hour of labor, 7 sets of tires, all of it. Not the battery, not the motor. Tires and bushings. It works out to roughly 3 cents a mile in repairs. Charge that car at the US average, and the electricity comes to around $11,000 over the same distance, near enough 4 cents a mile, where an equivalent gas sedan would have burned close to $29,000 in fuel. But there are 2 Model 3s, and you need to know which one you're looking at. Long-range and performance cars run nickel-based cells. Standard range cars moved to LFP. Testing on 20 high-mileage standard range cars past 100,000 miles. Put the LFP ones in the high 80s to low 90s for battery health, and the older nickel ones between 71 and 83%. One LFP car was still at 92% approaching 140,000 miles. That's a wider spread inside one model than you'll find between most brands. It's a small sample, and the LFP cars are newer, so treat it as a direction rather than a verdict. But a Swedish study running nearly 10,000 battery tests found the same ranking. If longevity is the priority when you're shopping used, chemistry matters more than mileage. Just charge them correctly. LFP wants a regular trip to 100%, while nickel packs want 80 to 90% for daily use. Get that backwards, and you'll age the pack faster than the odometer ever will. Past that split, the shape of the curve is the thing. Owner data lands around 10% loss by 150,000 miles, and only a couple of points worse by $250,000. 100,000 extra miles costs low single digits. The steep part happens early. Then almost nothing happens for a very long time. The drivetrain is the same sealed unit as the Y, in a lighter car, doing less work. Of everything in this video, that's the component I'd bet on hardest to reach 300,000 miles untouched, which leaves the chassis, and this is the honest weak point. Front upper control arm ball joints on 2018 to 2020 cars. Let water pass the seal and corrode, and Tesla issued a service bulletin covering it. though in fairness, Tesla calls it a noise complaint rather than a failure, and the same bulletin covers the Model Y. Bushings, control arms, and rear motor mounts are the recurring spend on any high-mileage Model 3, and rear suspension work runs into four figures once you're outside warranty. Build quality on the earlier cars is a fair hit too. Consumer Reports has been blunt that the 2016 to 2021 Teslas are the problem years. So budget for suspension and don't assume cheap to run means cheap to repair. One thing that does help used buyers though, Tesla's battery warranty runs 8 years with the mileage cap depending on the car. 100,000 on rear-wheel drive, 120,000 on long range, 150,000 on the Model S. All of them guarantee 70% capacity, and all of them transfer to a second owner in full, with nothing to register and nothing to pay. That isn't true of every manufacturer, and it's worth real money. So the Model 3 takes it on evidence rather than reputation. Best documented high mileage record of the 3, the same drivetrain as the Y and a lighter body, the cheapest tires, the cheapest parts, the lowest cost per mile in the lineup. The cheapest car to keep is the one with the least of everything, which settles the mileage we came here for. But there's a number past it that starts to separate them again. What happens at 300,000 miles? Flag first, this part is projection, not measurement. The Model 3 gets there, and I'm barely projecting. Taxi and rideshare cars are already well past 200,000 with capacity in the high 80s, still failing on nothing worse than suspension and tires. The Model Y almost certainly gets there mechanically. The open question isn't whether the drivetrain survives, it's whether an insurer writes the car off first after a moderate hit, or whether a structural pack car can find anyone willing to work on it. The Model S is the genuine unknown, and it splits hard by year. A 2014 car at 300,000 miles is probably on its second pack. A 2021 or later car might quietly turn out to be the best of the three at that mileage. Bigger pack, gentler cycling, most mature hardware. And since the last one was built in 2026, that late build car is now a fixed, finite pool. Ask me again in 5 years and I'll have data instead of a curve. One thing that won't decide it, whatever the internet tells you, supercharging. Recurrent ran the numbers on more than 12,500 Teslas, comparing the cars that fast charge over 90% of the time against the ones that almost never do. No statistically significant difference in degradation. The thermal management is doing exactly what it was built to do. So charge the way your life needs you to. Your daily state of charge matters far more than charging speed. Before any of that though, there's one failure that hits all three of these cars equally and costs a couple of $100s to stay ahead of. The part nobody checks: your brakes, not the pads, the calipers. Regenerative braking means the friction brakes on these cars barely get used. A high-mileage Tesla can reach 150,000 miles on original pads, and owners take that as proof there's nothing to do back there. It's the opposite. Brakes that never get used don't wear out, they seize up. Slide pins dry out, caliper pistons corrode in their bores, and pads bond themselves to rotors that are rusting because nothing ever scrubs them clean. Then one day, the caliper hangs. It drags. It cooks a rotor, ruins a set of pads, quietly eats range you'll blame on the battery, and turns a routine service into a full corner rebuild. Tesla's own guidance is to clean and lubricate the calipers every year, or 12,500 miles. If you live anywhere, the roads get salted. Owners report paying somewhere between $125 and $240 for it. Almost nobody does it, because the brakes look fine and the pads have plenty left. I'd put that above battery anxiety as the thing most likely to cost a high-mileage Tesla owner real money this year. Cheapest fix in the video, most commonly skipped, and the first of 4 things I'd deal with this week. Check your own car, add 3 more to it. Run the built-in battery health test through the service menu, not the range estimate on the dash, which is only a prediction based on how you've been driving. The actual test. It needs a few hours parked and it gives you a real number, and most owners don't know it's in there. Then pull the original in-service date, not the day you bought it, not the model year. The date it first went into service, because that's the clock your 8-year battery warranty has been running on the whole time, and the mileage cap runs alongside it. Whichever one you hit first ends the cover. I've watched people pay a premium for coverage that had already quietly expired. And if you've got a Model 3 or a Model Y still inside that original warranty, look at Tesla's battery ESA before it runs out. $2,000 buys another 2 years or 30,000 miles of high-voltage cover once the factory warranty ends, with a $500 deductible per visit, and it transfers if you sell. Whether the maths works depends on the car and how long you're keeping it. But here's the part that catches people out. You can only buy it while the original warranty is still live. Let it lapse and the door is shut behind you. So it's a decision to make before the clock runs down, not after. 1 afternoon of parking and 30 seconds of admin. That's the difference between owning a high-mileage EV and gambling on one. So where does all of that leave the three of them? The verdict: 3 Teslas. One question: what's actually left at 200,000 miles? And each one wins something real. The Model S wins on paper, the best degradation numbers, and the longest warranty of the 3. And now that Tesla has stopped building it, it's the most car here for the money on the day you buy it. The Model Y wins on usefulness, the most practical shape Tesla makes, with a drivetrain every bit as good as the winners. The Model 3 wins the question we actually asked, and it wins it on documented invoices rather than reputation. The lesson isn't that Tesla builds one good car and 2 bad ones. It's that within a single brand, on a shared platform, using the same cells and the same motors, the car that lasts is the one carrying the least mass and the fewest systems. Every extra pound comes back as tires, and every extra system is a repair bill, with a date on it you haven't seen yet. Longevity was never really a battery story. It's a mass and complexity story, and it always has been. Which is why what you check matters more than what badge you're checking. And if you're actually shopping for a used EV, everything I check before buying is in the Used EV Buyer's Guide, including battery health, the warranty rules, the full inspection checklist. Links in the description. Because one of these cars did 1.5 million miles on 4 packs and 14 motors, and another did 238,000 on tires and bushings, and now you know which one is sitting on your driveway. If this one was useful, a like and subscribe genuinely helps. I break down EVs like this every week. No brand loyalty, just what the data actually says. Go watch the one where we put Tesla, BMW, and Hyundai head-to-head at 150,000 miles. Different brands, same question, and the winner there isn't the one people expect either. See you in the next one.